The Legend of Vox Machina gives fans an early tease for Season 3, Activision-Blizzard bungled a deal for an animated Diablo and Overwatch series on Netflix, and Wizards of the Coast takes over Magic's Commander format after death threats.
What?
No, alright. I know that sounds bad.
Welcome to Tabletop News Tuesday on the Character Sheet, and today we're taking an early look at a scene from The Legend of Vox Machina Season 3, and talking some early reviews. Wizards of the Coast gets rocked by a scandal involving card bans, death threats, and the potential end of a fan-favorite format, and one of the all-time great fantasy animes finally confirms a Season 2. But before we start breaking down all those stories and more, please take a minute to hit those like and subscribe buttons. It really helps the channel and we really appreciate it. And now, let's dive into the news.
Holy there's a lot of news.
The Legend of Vox Machina Season 3 reviews have begun, and it's basically universal acclaim for the new season, which is being praised for having the best writing, animation, and emotional gut punches of any season yet. The Critical Role cast promised there would be some major changes from the events that happened in the original livestream, and they absolutely deliver on that promise. So even veteran critters will find new and exciting moments to fall in love with all over again, without anything seeming forced or shoehorned in just for the sake of being a surprise. There's also a lot more romance in previous season, which leads to more heartwarming and heart-wrenching moments than the first two seasons. But if you're just here for the dick jokes, don't worry, they are still liberally sprinkled through the entire season. And to celebrate the universal praise for the new season, Prime Video has released a brand new clip from Season 3 yesterday, featuring Vex attempting to spy on Thordak and Voragol. So in case you haven't seen it, let's take a look.
Raishan's mission is more crucial than ever.
We are not alone. Something was here.
My children soon will be gods.
In other Critical Role news, their release of Tales from the Stinky Dragon has begun on Beacon TV. And to help push the popular actual play podcast, they have turned Grog into one of the show's iconic puppets, who seems to be struggling with the family-friendly nature of it all.
What the fuck?
Fun times are on the horizon, Grog.
Tales from the Stinky Dragon Season 3 Episode 1, which is available now on Beacon along with its Second Wind after show, deals with the party being caught in a war between Celestials and the Devils, and a mysterious figure who may be guiding them towards their destiny or their doom. Add in a lot of humor despite the lack of profanity, and if that sounds like your jam, you can check it out on podcast platforms everywhere tomorrow or Beacon today. But you don't have to take our word for it, just ask these puppets.
See your line.
Ad-free and 2 days early, you son of a bitch!
Beacon will be a great place for people to discover Stinky Dragon.
Wizards of the Coast is once again embroiled in a massive controversy as their beloved Commander format for Magic the Gathering has basically imploded into literal death threats after the formerly fan-controlled Rules Committee banned 4 cards last week. The banning of 4 cards in the format caused such a backlash from some toxic fans and outraged finance bros who had been using Magic the Gathering cards like an investment that it escalated to credible threats of violence and even death against those Rules Committee members. The cards in question, including Jeweled Lotus, Mana Crypt, and Dockside Extortionist, all went for between $50 to nearly $200 a pop before the ban, and were largely banned in all other formats, so their value is currently in a freefall, with Mana Crypt itself dropping from $185 to an average sale price of barely $100 on TCG Player in the last week. And the players and finance bros who had invested heavily in these cards for optimal decks or optimal profits went completely off the rails, threatening to kill or injure the Rules Committee members if the decision was not overturned. It got so out of control that Wizards of the Coast announced they were taking back control from the Commander's Rules Committee for the safety of the independent fans and members who made that original decision, after the Rules Committee basically came to Wizards of the Coast asking them to take this responsibility to handle rulings like this back in the face of credible threats to their life and well-being. While Wizards has said they will look at the current ban list, which has given hope to these same wildly toxic fans and finance bros that threaten the safety of the Rules Committee in the first place, many fans are afraid that Wizards of the Coast will turn what was once a fan-run and relatively cheap format into one designed to maximize profits for Magic the Gathering at all costs. It's another black eye for Wizards of the Coast public image, although at least this time, the controversy came from wildly toxic fans, and not from within the company itself. But as the fate of Commander is left hanging, with Wizards of the Coast now calling the shots, we'll see if the wildly popular format effectively just got destroyed by the actions of a few staggeringly entitled and toxic fans.
That sucks!
In happier news, Frieren: Journey's End, which we recently mentioned had the most beautiful animated fantasy combat scenes ever, and an amazing storyline, yes, you can have both things, finally confirmed the release of Season 2 with a new teaser trailer. This trailer, showing off the iconic weapons of the main cast with Frieren's suitcase full of spellbooks and knickknacks, Fern's staff, and Stark's battle axe, finally confirmed that Season 2 was happening, news fans had been desperately waiting for an entire year. While no release date was given, fans expect that sometime in 2025 we will finally continue the journey of Frieren and her companions Stark and Fern, as the elf tries to make new memories while coming to terms with what she's lost, as original members of her heroes party succumb to the ravages of time that have left her largely untouched. And her quest to find every single spell she possibly can, no matter how minor or ridiculous it may be. And hey, maybe in Season 2, one of those treasure chests will turn out to not be a mimic. It could happen. Some good news for Baldur's Gate 3 fans, as WizKids have announced their new line of official Baldur's Gate 3 miniatures for D&D. The miniatures are available two different ways. First, you can purchase the character box set, which will set you back $50 and features detailed, fully painted minis for the 6 main party characters, Starion, Lae'zel, Karlach, Gale, Shadowheart, and Will, and the undead man with a plan himself, Withers. But if you just want to flesh out your collection of Baldur's Gate 3 related monsters, NPCs, and bad guys, you can get a booster brick, which will have 1 large mini and 3 medium or small minis, all selected from a pool of 40 different minis from the Baldur's Gate 3 setting for $25. So if you're looking to bring the world of Baldur's Gate 3 into your home campaign, check out these new minis from WizKids when they release in the first few months of 2025.
Can't wait!
And finally, it appears Activision-Blizzard completely botched their chance to turn Diablo, Overwatch, and Starcraft into hit animated series on Netflix. According to an AMA by game journalist Jason Schreier to promote his new book, Play Nice: The Rise, Fall, and Future of Blizzard Entertainment, Netflix and Activision-Blizzard were in development on 3 of their biggest properties to give them the arcane treatment, just like they did for Riot and League of Legends. But one move by Activision-Blizzard apparently sank the entire deal and prevented us from watching an animated Diablo series or Overwatch series on the streaming giant. Apparently, Activision-Blizzard got extremely upset when Netflix allegedly poached their chief financial officer to work for them instead. This led Activision-Blizzard to sue Netflix, who quite reasonably decided they no longer wanted to develop an animated series for someone trying to take them to court, and immediately canceled production on all 3 series. This has hit Blizzard fans hard, as Diablo is one of the most beloved and long-lasting video game franchises of all time, and Overwatch fans have been begging for an animated series for a decade. In fact, Overwatch fans were basically beside themselves with grief when the news came out this week, calling it a massive fumble that cost them a true animated series they'd been dying for. All because a single executive jumped ship. It could have also become a massive revenue source for the Game Dead, which has been forced to make massive layoffs in the last few years, because it would have beat their competition to market. Arcane hit platforms late in 2021, and these 3 series were in production back in 2020. But sadly, it appears that Overwatch, Diablo, and Starcraft fans We'll just have to make do with animated shorts and cinematics, while the League of Legends crowd revels in their Emmy-winning animated series as Arcane heads into its second season.
Die with glory, old friend.
And that's all the stories we have for Tabletop News Tuesday this week. Let us know which one was your favorite in the comments, and don't forget to hit those like and subscribe buttons.